Good afternoon, friends. Today is the 10th day of the lockdown. And almost nobody to talk to. We keep watching TV, reading, and keep listening, hearing actually. So, thought came, let me talk about the art of listening or the importance of listening. My experience of golf tells me that 80% of a successful golf shot begins with the proper grip and how you stand over the ball. In other words, success is almost a foregone conclusion before you exert one muscle. It's same with exactly the same with listening. 80% of our success in learning from other people is based upon how well we listen. In other words, my friends, success or failure is determined before we actually do anything. And I'm convinced that listening is certainly not a passive activity, is a highly active process. If one is dumb and think you just keep hearing and you become an expert in listening, he or she is sadly mistaken. Listening, my friend, is basically there are three things uh, all listeners must develop or do before they speak. They must learn to listen, the art of listening. There basically, I feel there are three ingredients. There are three things involved in listening or uh, understanding what listening is. Firstly, you all listeners, which what I'm going to tell you, all listeners do before they speak. Firstly, they listen with respect. Secondly, they're always gauging their response by asking themselves, is it worth it? And they always think before they. Now, taking these three parts one by one, first, think before you speak. As an art of listening, as a part of listening skill, you must learn to think before you speak. And there's a first active choice. I would like to give this example of my friend. He's a big corporate running a huge academic institution. He is a developer. He's constructing a five-star hotel in Goa. And besides, he's also in making movies. And I've noticed him. Whenever you are talking, normal response of people when they are angry or they are agitated or they are worried, they start speaking. But this friend of mine, he remains very quiet and he will give no expressions at all. More angrier he is, more disturbed he is, more worried he is, under greater pressure he is, more quieter he is. And he will give you an indication that he is giving all ears and his every muscle of his body is totally attentive. My friend, this is an active choice. He's taught me one thing. This is actually human bodies are like this. You cannot speak and listen at the same time. You cannot listen to two people at the same time. It's difficult. Remaining quiet and listening attentively, I feel it is more difficult than doing 500 push-ups or bench presses. My corporate, my friend, who is very successful, he's a world-class listener. One, and he's taught me one in his listening. When he's actually listening, there are two parts to it. The first part is when he's actually listening, quiet, and the second is when he speaks after a deliberate consideration, speaks little, but conveys the most serious messages or directives in a most uh, counted weight and calculated words. This is a highly active uh, process. It's not a passive thing. Listening is not at all a passive thing. My friend, telling your brain and mouth not to do something is no different than telling them to do it. If you can master this art, you can listen effectively and then speak with greater effect. Second part, listening with respect. Just imagine somebody is talking to you and you give an impression that you are not attentive to his words or her words. Your body language is casual. You look here and there. It is a big demotivator, and it conveys the message that you are not interested in whatever he or she is talking. You are not giving respect to his or her talks. Remember, it's not enough to keep your ears open, my friend. We have to demonstrate that we are totally engaged, whether we like or don't like it. A poet tells in a very succinctly, he tells me, ऐसी है मेरे यार की जादू निगाहियाँ, सबको गुमा यही है कि मुखातिब उसी से है. When you are listening, the art of listening, the poet says, my master's eyes are so magical. Everybody in the audience have got only one impression, that they are directed towards him or her only. I have known many people and who have mastered this art of acting or whatever, listening. When you talk to them, you will get an impression that they are not only ears, but their mind, each and every muscle, entire body language is listening towards whatever you are telling. So it's very important to listen with respect. And third part of the art of listening is, my friend, always ask yourself, is it worth it before responding? The trouble with listening is that all of us, we are not listening. We are actually preparing ourselves, composing our words. You see, what is going to be our response? What are we going to say? And the person who's talking to you, he understands after a few minutes that you are not being attentive. So you have to listen very patiently. And if you respond, my friend, without asking, is it worth it, there can be multiple consequences. I'll sum it up. There'll be 3 consequences. You just listen and don't bother. Whether many time I notice somebody has something which is not palatable, which is not liked by you. Believe me, it is. You don't have to respond. You let it pass. After a few days, you'll forget about it. If you respond without asking this question, is it worth it? You are getting engaged and wasting lots of your time and energy. The person does not matter at all. So you ask this question, is it worth it? And if you respond without asking question, I said the responses can be 3. The consequences can be 3. Firstly, people will be hurt. It will be a duet. He says, she says, you say, she says, you say, and this goes on. Meaningless conversation, meaningless engagement. It just carries on. So, if you don't ask this question, people will be hurt. First consequences. The second consequence will be, they will harbor ill feeling. You are just carrying out in a baseless, meaningless conversation without actually meaning it. And the ultimate consequence will be, If you do not ask this question, is it worth it, my friend? They won't speak to you next time. They won't engage you because they know you are not a serious listener. You're not giving any much attention to. My friends, remember the art of listening. Simple disciplines, such as I just discussed, thinking before speaking, listening with respect, and asking, is it worth it? It works. I have tried it, you also tried it. They don't require any nuances. We just need to do them. Thank you.